Hi everyone, it's Tracy here from Art Fibre Stitch. I'm having a look today at sun dyeing. I do quite a bit of this. I use these special dyes. They come in a little bottle and they react to the sun. So I'm just giving you a quick update. We've done this one project before because I use this a lot in my kits. So I'd make quite a few of them. And I use wet calico, I use my sun dyes, and I splash some colour on, brown on one side, green on the other, and I let them flow together. And then I put something on there, because this is how the sun dyes work. We put something to block out the sun, and those bits will stay lighter. And I've already discussed before how, the real leaf doesn't leave quite as good a imprint as a perfectly flat shape like that plastic leaf. I also use salt on the design so that it gets those dyes to really make interesting patterns. You can see here where I'm taking the salt off and then I'm peeling them off and having a look. Each one is different. Each one is an individual. And I love the chemistry of it. I just love the way it works. So I do quite a bit of this sun dyeing. But what happens is I end up with dyes left over when I mix it up. I like to mix a little bit of water in it to help it spread a bit, you see. So rather than pour it back in the bottle, I then want to do something with it. Look at these lovely, lovely prints. So I had some leftover and I thought time to experiment. And that's what we're going to be looking at next. But aren't they lovely? If you've never dyed before, have a go, because especially, use creased fabric and see where it runs, or use salt on it like I have. Large salt crystals will drag the water and thus the dye, with it across the picture. I painted that on pretty solidly, but look at all of these variations. Just think they're magic. And as I say, you get a great imprint there, but it's only meant to be a background on these kits. I actually do a gum nut and gum nut flowers and beautiful leaves. All right, let's get to the leftovers. I have a dress I like to use for experiments. Can you see how I have that orange and black that I've already put on it, and I've even bleached? Well, this dress has been hanging around for ages, and I like to add bits and bobs of leftovers to it and see what I'll end up with. So here I've splashed some sun dye on the front there, and I've covered it. I've got two little bird cutouts I've made, and some flowers and some grasses and whatever was at hand, really. And as the sun, there we go, as the sun reacts and really strengthens that colour, the one that's left, the bit underneath that's been shaded, that's where you'll get the marks. But look at this, it's got a ruffled skirt, and I thought, how's it going to go? What's it going to do? And all of those folds and creases, it really worked beautifully to create a very interesting kind of pattern. I like it a lot. So outside in the sun is where you've got to do that, and that's where I am now. And I'm just looking at my results. I love the way you can't predict what it's going to do. If you have an old piece of clothing and you like to play around with different techniques, you start adding bits and pieces to it and see what you end up with. I really think this is going to be great by the time it's finished. Don't know when it will be finished. So I have my birds. I have some vague grass stalks on there. So I've really coloured it up nicely. This is a linen dress. And yeah, look at those birds. Beautiful. But remember, that's how it was to start with. The green not the green, no, well, it was a black, I think, and some red splashed on because that's what I had left. And it was very much motley, didn't really suit. But using that beetrooty colour, that really helped it blend in with that mustard coloured dress. So happy. I've washed it now, I've dried it, and I'm having a look inside now at some of the results of that dye job. And it's not finished. This dress is nowhere near finished, but I'm just fascinated when I see what the dye has done, especially in those creases. There's that grass stalk. Yeah, so you really have to look into it, but I think it'll be good. This project of mine, it'll continue, I'm sure. So I'm all about experimentation, and I don't like waste. So when I've got dye left over, I like to keep trying different things. And what we're going to do next, well, I'm tearing off a little strip of silk. I'm going to see how that goes. We'll do that now. So back outside again, you can see whilst I was doing the dress, I laid this little strip down of silk. I lay it down on plastic so it's not going to damage anything. And I just grabbed some, I think we just mowed the grass. So I just put some grass clippings on. And look how the colour developed, and I had these wonderful marks in there. I thought it just looks really great. I'd use that easily in some fabric art. So I'm going to experiment more with that. But, whilst we're there, let's try something else. I have a doily, a white cotton doily. I've got a toothbrush, and I'm sprinkling some of the water from my mixing bowl, and I'm adding a little bit of this dye to it. Can you see I've got a piece of calico underneath? This is a double experiment. I not only want to see what it does to the lace, but I also want to see what it does to the piece of fabric underneath. And so, yeah, I paint on whatever I've got left, and I use the paintbrush sometimes to splash a bit more on or to spray it on just by rubbing my finger along the bristles. And I'm going to try, like I say, what's at hand. There were some little rocks, so I just popped them on. A little bit of salt just to see if that makes any difference. A bit more colour. I've got some left over now, and I think I go a little bit too far, but you never know. So yeah, I just sprinkle that around the edges, or pour it on the edges, blend it in a bit, and then leave it. Well, you can see that colour really did quite take over. I'm just removing the rocks now. It's had a chance to develop the colour, and I can see that they do leave a little bit of uncoloured. But look at this. Woo, that is interesting. Can you see? There's actually an imprint of the lace there. There's some beautiful marks in this. And I think I could use both of those things together in a nice little artwork. I would really enjoy using that. I was very impressed with this one, and I thought, well, that's well worth a play with, isn't it? Okay, so these are dry now and ironed, and there's that nice strip of silk in between. Maybe it went a bit darker than I wanted it to, but I can work with that. So try not to get disheartened when anything doesn't go as you expect. This is experimentation. This is the fun bit. This is where we just play, and we'll get results that we weren't expecting. And I like it like that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed following along with me. If you have, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I've also set up a link here to a donation where you can leave any amount you like that might help towards getting me better equipment and doing better videos.